Okay, we are live now. Do you have the, no need the link, huh? Okay, so we're actually live on YouTube now. Okay. Let me check. Yeah, it's a bit. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Waypost Artist Talk with Jess. I'm Xiaoyin from Artist Caravan. So Waypost is an art project where artists respond and are inspired by memoirs. Jess is one of the young artists involved in creating her artwork, responding to writers Oon Sim Sim's memoir, Once Upon a Time in Ballater Close. In Sim Sim's words, Once Upon a Time in Ballater Close is a personal memoir that captured nostalgic memories about a familiar place in Queesnstown that has a special place in her heart. So in this artist talk, Jess will share more about her artwork titled The Strange Familiar. So let's hear from Jess. Yeah, let me just look up the artwork. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the artwork that I came up with after reading Sim Sim's writing, and basically, yeah, everything's like pink and all that, and I think the main part of why my work is pink comes from the face of like rose tinted glasses and things like that, because when we look back at memories, at nostalgia especially, um, it's a very feel good thing, right? We will look back on like fond memories that we have, and that we hold very close to our heart. Um, we tend to remember the most like sweetest ones or the nicest ones. And the thing is, every time we remember it or we revisit that memory, little parts of it actually change, and we just don't realize it. So our most visited memory is actually one of the most inaccurate, I guess, because we every time we visit it, we change it a bit. So and the pink is also to have this very like whimsical, very like fairyland. It's not real. I wanted to give that feeling. And also in Sim Sim's writing, right, she talks about how she talks about how she always plays in the field, outside of her house, with her friends and everything. And in that field, like there's a tree, the acacia tree, um, and they would pluck the leaves and they will rip it and they'll make things with it and things like that. So the middle, right, where you see the little sparkly one, I looked up how these leaves look like, these acacia leaves, and I cut them out in the shape of. I used this very reflective material and cut them out in the shape of the leaves, and then I added like very very sparkly or very shimmery beads on top of the leaf. So I stacked them up, and this was to represent that leaf and also like freedom. As you can see, like I put grass underneath, right? Yeah, like when you wake up, the morning dew, that sparkliness that the morning fresh dew gives you, that freedom, that magicalness, that touch of whimsicality was what I wanted. And also in Sim Sim's memoir, she talks a lot of her grandmother very fondly. She loves her grandmother a lot, and I do too. So that was something that I feel like we had in common, and something that I also wanted to bring to the work, which is why you see a lot of household products, very ordinary, household products, including the one that's holding the sparkly stuff, which is like, the clothes peg, the basket, towels, the sewing kit, comb, toothbrush, all of these things. These are everyday things, that my grandmother uses, and I'm sure hers does. And also, she talks very, very, very fondly of that apartment she lives in, and all of the things that happened there. She talks about her growing up in there, how her grandparents were really lovely, and how she had to share it with, her grandparents and her parents, the sacrifices her grandparents made for her and her parents, and all of these things. And that is also a huge part of why I used a lot of household products, very ordinary household items, is to represent that house, that homeliness. But I didn't want to make it so mundane or like too boring and things like that, and like, put it inside the box. That's, I think it would be very constricting. Yeah, so at the bottom, as well as putting the grass, I also put a mirror which reflects back um, whatever the clothes spec is showing. And below that, I also added like a pink light. All of this is also, it really just goes back to the whole like whimsical, magical, and as well as like the whole rose tinted glasses and things like that. Yeah.
Okay. So is there any like, like connection to femininity
Mm,
because of all these household products that you are using, particularly like, like sewing, uh, and then also a lot of cleaning.
mm. Yeah, I think when I was making this work, right, most, like, in my mind, what was there mostly was really just our grandmothers, because, okay, so there's this one part where she talks about how her grandmother um like actually had to go work in the factory, once, because they wanted to earn extra money and things like that. And that was very, it stood out to me a lot, right? Because my grandmother has sacrificed a lot, and she has done a lot. She is a Chinese woman who is adopted by an Indian family, and she's gone through a lot of things. She's like 90 plus, so you can imagine, like, it's, she's gone through so much. And obviously I don't want to say everything, but yeah, so I was thinking about my grandmother a lot, and I love my grandmother so much, and my whole family does. We all are very like protective of her and everything. So I think that part is what mainly influenced the stuff as well, because we, most of the time, or most of us, traditionally, the women in the house tend to do all of these chores, right? um or especially maybe in this day and age, if our grandparents are living with us and they are not around, even if we don't expect them to do anything because they're old, they just feel like they should. My grandma's like that. I will just tell her, oh, it's okay, you rest. But she'll get out and she'll go to the kitchen and she'll start taking things to clean. I'm like, it's okay. We have people to do that. You can rest. But no, she has to do something. And I believe a lot of our grandmas are like that. They feel they are very strong and independent women. And like, even maybe if they're very educated or not very educated, very rich, not very rich, whatever, they are still very independent. They always feel like, oh, no, 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 I'll do it, it's okay. Like, it's okay, just sit down. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Yeah, so somehow this artwork also connects you back to your own like family stories. So for this object, are there any like special like story you want to share with us? Like why do you choose like specific objects? Like why not like other objects, but rather the basket,
Mm.
the towel?
Right, right. Um, okay. I think half of these things were actually from my house. So my first instinct was to find these pink household items in my own house, and I didn't want to just go and buy them. So it's part of my own things on this work, right? So the towel specifically is the, I, if I'm not wrong, it was from the Good Morning, you know, the Singapore Good Morning towel, the very significant white one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think it's from that brand if I'm not wrong.
But it's really is pink color. There's a pink
Yeah,
color
but
version,
this
is
one
it?
is pink,
Oh,
I think. Or I
oh,
think, yeah, I specifically just wanted to use a towel that was very like if a Singaporean looks at it, it's like, yeah, like I'm sure I've seen that somewhere in their life, you know. Like confirm one. Even if it's not pink, right? It's a different color. You got see,
yeah,
right?
correct, correct.
Yeah, even
What I know was white color. This is
yeah,
the first time I'm
exactly.
seeing a pink one. Yeah, it's very
Ah,
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. If you never see the pink one, you always see the white one. Is yeah, you know, and that is also partly to like it like switch on that side for the people. So it's not, I don't want it to just be between me and the writer. I wanted people to be able to relate to it too. So I used more generic items and nothing too like specifically it shows like who or what. Like for example, we all use towels, we all use toothbrush and combs and things like that, right? You know, so I wanted people to be able to like look at these items like, oh yeah, I have those at home. Like, even if it's the most basic level of relating to the artwork, you know, at least they can, you know, because I heard that the children were really fascinated with some of the things and they were like picking it up.
Yeah, they are, especially girls. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
which,
think they're attracted to pink color.
yeah, and it's no big deal, you know, because it's normal. All of us use these items and things like that. But yeah, in the basket, I was looking specifically for something that reminded us of a little bit more old school. You know, because I think we rarely tend to use baskets. What do we need baskets for now? Probably in the kitchen, right? Like when we cook something or draining vegetables and things like that. So just things that spark a bit of um I just wanted it to spark a little bit of people to when they see the work, right, they will like maybe think of a memory, hopefully, or like
Mm,
or relate. Oh yeah, I also have this at home. Like that kind also, yeah, you know.
that
Mm-mm-mm. So,
homely.
so so the reason why I picked this item is also like um yeah, it's the most relatable or the most generic. There's an access point for my viewers. And as well as these were the ones that were in my house, right? Like these are the ones that I could find. So yeah.
Okay, so then how do you negotiate like the space um through using the pot? Like, do you
Uh,
have any initial idea when you saw the pot, right? Like,
mm,
what was the process like for you to arrive at this composition?
I mainly think what is that when I saw it, it took a while to get there. Like it took a while to get to this thing, and not because it was so laborious or anything. It's really just the idea. I think you can understand that once the idea click, right, it's very fast already. You can make the work very fast. It's just the ideation that takes a while. But I know I wanted to use very household products. I wanted to use very relatable items, but I also wanted it to be very whimsical. That was my main thing. I think about most nostalgia. I think about whimsicality. I think about how like all these memories they are not here anymore, right? And they can never come back again. It's a wonderland really. When we think about it, it's a different land, it's a different place, you know, and I wanted that, right? So I keep thinking, and I was like, you know, I can't like just dump all my household products inside. Like, oh, you know, oh, the pot looks like an apartment, so we put everything inside. That's just too like, you know, boring and like um, it's too also easy. Like, nah, anyone can do that, you know. Like, I'm sure anyone can do this too, but you know, we I don't want to just like come out with something that um I feel like you know is not exciting enough or like you know. So and then I was also thinking about that the acacia leaves, right? Because I was mainly like I was trying to resonate like which part of it reaches out to me the most because I cannot
Yeah.
tell all of Sim Sim's story is a lot to go through, right? And
Yeah,
I only
correct.
can tell you parts of her story, right? And that acacia leaf thing was, I was like, wow, that's very interesting. Like, I didn't know, you know.
Yeah,
So
that's true. That's true. I also find that they not just Sim Sim, actually my writer also, she talks about um playing games with nature.
hmm,
Yeah. They were
yeah,
doing
they,
that.
they
Yeah.
have this connection, right? That at least people my age don't, because we all grew up indoors with like phones and things like that. Yeah, and like she made me think also about my parents. My parents are always telling me, you know, last time I go play at the longkang. Last time I always catch spider. Last time I like, what are you doing? Why you never study? You every time scold me study, but you tell me you play at the longkang. And then yeah, so yeah, I was like, wow, that's pretty fascinating. And that part also, you know, caught me the most. And the whole freeing aspect of, like, you know, going playing at the field with their friends and things like that, you know. I can only imagine like how great that must have felt, because I enjoy playing. Like when I was younger, I enjoy going out and playing with my friends, right? Even though I didn't get to run around a whole field, so I can imagine how nice it must be, right? And to like take things from nature and use that. Yeah,
Mm,
you know. So
yeah.
yeah, so that part is the one that captured me the most, that field and that all that, which is why the middle I was like, yeah, I need to incorporate this like whimsical. And when I chose the sheet, the shimmery sheet, right, it is dichromatic. So basically when you shine a light, it has blue, purple, yellow and green if it reflect, if the light bounces off it, you know. So
Mm,
like it's it also gives the effect of you know, when we think about the sun hitting glass and things like that, and then it just sparkles, like that sparkly effect, right? Yeah, which is why, you know, that I focused on the acacia one. And then as I said, like the grandmother is the reason why I zoomed in so much on like household products, right? And yeah, and which is why like I it's almost like putting the outdoors indoors and the indoor stuff outdoors, you know.
yeah.
Yeah,
Juxtaposition.
yeah,
Yeah.
juxtapose it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some kind of freedom lah. I mean, you just now you were earlier you were saying the middle part, the whimsical part also is trying to show some sense of freedom through the glittering and the mirror. So could you maybe just elaborate a bit more on that about the freedom part? I can sense that there's a lot of freedom because of
Mm,
the the, the flow. There's a kind of flow in which you feel that the the leaves, right? They will float, and they will fly freely if there's some kind of wind,
yeah.
some kind of movement. Yeah, I do get that sense
Mm,
through the artwork and the
correct.
mirror as well. Yeah, it seems to reflect up. And then was there something that we need to see when we look into the mirror, like ourselves inside that?
Yeah, I think mainly was I placed the mirror there so is that when you peep, right, you can see it, even just a little bit of yourself. If you are a kid, probably you can see your whole face lah, because you know they are a bit shorter, right? Yeah, so it's also like looking back at, like, you know, yourself, or like your memories or your past, or whatever when you look at it and whatever reflects back at you, right? There will be something when
Mm,
you look at yourself after looking at something like this, or anything. In fact, it really depends. And we look at a mirror, there will be a moment of like reflection. It might not be like anything profound or anything like deep, and it doesn't have to be. It really just has to be like, or even it could be like, oh, why I look like that? Also can, you know, there's there's still that,
yeah,
yeah, you know, there's still a reaction, you know.
yeah, we were all playing a lot with the mirror, trying to take our photo
Yeah. You see, so
together with your artwork. So wow,
mm,
quite hard. Yeah,
yeah, so yeah, that's the thing of it. Like you can see yourself, but then you can't capture yourself
yeah, no.
in that mirror. You see, and yeah, it's a lot of things like the work plays back with you, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It does. It does. It's actually very playful. Yeah. And then the neon light. Why is it below? Like,
Uh,
is there
um,
any reason why you choose to
put it below.
put it
Yeah.
below rather than on top or
Yeah. I think a few things. Firstly, like I didn't want to obstruct what was happening inside the artwork already inside the pot. But I also wanted to give it that little like UFO, very alien, like because whimsical, right? Whimsical is different, correct? And it's like like fairyland. But alien is
mm,
and fairyland is not real, correct? Is fluff and all that. Alien is also the same thing. They are the same thing, just different types. Right.
mm,
Yeah, alien is also different, like, huh? But the UFO, that strange feeling, that strange familiar is what I'm talking about. It's a strange feeling, like the electric color that's coming out from underneath and things like that. My work really just wants to evoke feelings out of people. You don't have to particularly like take anything away, but I just want you to feel something. Like it looks a bit UFOE. It looks a bit, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, I just want them to feel. It's about a feeling, when all of
mm,
it is put together. Yeah.
mm. Okay, okay, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think anything more to add on or
No, I think that's about it.
okay, can. All right then. Okay, thank you. I think we are
Thanks, Charlene.
finished. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'll stop sharing now.
Okay.